Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to HG Radio, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration. Here is your co-founder and host, Kim Becker.
Hello, gorgeous, and thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Kim Becker, and this is Hello, Gorgeous, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration on Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. This episode is brought to you by Amplified Marketing Group. They specialize in affordable mobile solutions that will get you noticed and help you retain customers. Check them out at yourphoneguy.com. Our guest today is STACY RICHEZ. In 2013, Stacy, a 38-year-old wife and mother to her young son, was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. Today, she is living a life she always dreamed of, helping others, taking care of herself and her family. Thank you, cancer, for blessing me with this wonderful life I am now living. I am grateful for every moment of it. Stacy. Hi, Stacy, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited to have you on because to me, you are just an inspiration. And I think that you are the epitome of what life should look like after cancer. You've just done an amazing job. So I'm excited to have you on the show today and just share your story.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about your diagnosis. How did you find was it a lump? How did you discover that the cancer was there?
Sure. Well, I was actually diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer 7 years ago in February. So it was February of 2013. I was 38 years old. And unfortunately, breast cancer does run in my family. So I had been having routine mammograms since the age of 36. So one year I went in and had a mammogram. Everything looked okay. The following year I went in to have a mammogram and they noticed something. So I did have a biopsy and it came back that it was cancer. And unfortunately, it had spread to my lymph nodes, which made it stage 2.
And so now you go for regular mammograms as well, correct? You still
Correct.
Keep up with that? Okay, good. So
Yep.
What kind of treatment then did you have to go through?
Sure. So I ended up doing a lumpectomy with a partial mastectomy on the other side. And then I did chemotherapy for 4 months. I did radiation every day for a little over a month. I think it was 33 treatments. And then I also had surgery that year to remove my ovaries because my particular type of cancer does grow from estrogen. And so I did remove my ovaries. So my total treatment took about 9 months.
Wow. And so how old was your son when you went through all of this?
He was 8. He was in 1st grade.
And so how did you tell him what was happening and how did you explain how things were going to be for the next few months?
Sure. So looking back on it, it probably wasn't the smartest thing ever, but he was with me when I went in to get my biopsy results, as was my husband. And what's strange about that is I actually had a previous biopsy that turned out to be nothing. And at that one, I went by myself and got the results. Everything was fine. And in my head, when they told me that they saw something and I needed to have a biopsy, I was pretty sure it was going to be nothing because that had already happened to me. And so when I don't know why I had my husband and son there because really I didn't think anything, bad was going to come, any bad results were going to come. So I had my son and my husband in the room, although my son had like an iPad with him or something and was distracted and really wasn't aware of what was going on. But when the doctor came in, when the nurse came in the room, it was the nurse and another nurse and the doctor. And I immediately started crying. And my husband said, "Why are you crying?" And I said, "Because when everything's fine, it's not a room full of people." Mm-hmm. And so I just knew something was different this time. For my son, the great thing about an 8-year-old is their whole world revolves around them. Mm-hmm. And they don't really, I try to keep his routine the same. And so he didn't really, of course he knew I was sick. I lost my hair. I couldn't do very much. But that summer, I just scheduled him a lot of play dates. He had a lot of family members that, took him and did things with him. So it really wasn't too bad for him.
That's awesome. Well, and I think that too, I mean, I have found that for myself too. If the mom is okay, everything else is okay. If you're normal, then he can be normal because he looks to you for guidance. He looks to you. I think most kids do. They look to a parent to see how to gauge what's going to happen in the future. So as long as you don't act upset and scared, then there's no reason for them to act upset and scared.
Right. And really my whole summer, I didn't have much energy or ability to do much. So really what I focused on was just having his routine be the most normal it could possibly be. And that ultimately helped me through it as well.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah. And I think that's it. I think normalcy in situations like that is the power, because I really do think that if they just get used to their routine and it doesn't change for them, then that's really when I think that they can adapt to that situation.
Agreed.
So you actually, through your cancer treatment, you actually went through a job change. So tell me
Correct.
a little bit about that.
Sure. When I was going through treatment, I was actually too sick to work, particularly when I was going through my chemotherapy. I was young, so they did it a little more aggressively with me. So instead of waiting and doing it every 4 weeks, I did it every 2 weeks. And so I was too sick to work during treatment. So when I finished treatment, I had a little bit of a midlife crisis. I was kind of like, what do I want to do with the rest of my life, right? Because at that point, I'm, approaching 39 years old, and I'm thinking, do I want to continue being a social worker? I had my master's in social work. I'd been a social worker for 15 years. Do I want to continue in the line of work that I've been doing? Did I want to, there was a part of me that thought I was destined to become a social worker for breast cancer survivors. Here I am, a social worker. I just gone through breast cancer treatment. Although there are a lot of resources in our community, there wasn't one place where you could go and find out where everything was. And so, as a social worker, I was out asking questions and finding resources and getting connected to things. But I knew other people maybe didn't have that skill set or even maybe ability or knowledge to do that. So, I thought maybe that was what I was supposed to be doing. But at the time, there was no opening for breast cancer social work, and I kind of had to get back to work and get back to life. And I actually met an insurance agent who said to me, I told him I was without a job and looking for a job. And he said, Stacy, you have probably never once in your life thought about becoming an insurance agent, but you would be able to help a lot of people, particularly given what you've gone through and navigated. And I think you would really enjoy it. And so I was very intrigued by that. So I did an interview with him. He offered me a position on his team. I took the licensure test through the state of Indiana to become a licensed health and life insurance agent. And so I have been a licensed health insurance agent for the last 6 years. And I often say this job is just like social work at its core, because people raise their hands, they need help. I help them. My help is free. I feel very blessed to be able to help them, and they're often very grateful for the help. So it's really extremely rewarding to be able to do this and help people. And particularly, I get a lot of referrals for people who are sick and losing their job or losing their insurance. I know what that's like. And so I've, been able to help people in that way as well.
And I know you and I have spoken at length too, that it's like you've gone, I've watched you go to people's homes who are in the position that you were in with cancer treatment, and they can't move and they can't get off the couch, but they still need the health insurance. And so you have actually gone over to their homes to be able to sit and fill out the forms to make sure that they're covered. And I think that what makes you so good at your job is your heart. You just don't sell insurance, is that you truly care about people. And I think that that's a true attribute that not everybody possesses.
Oh, thank you. This job is not just a job for me. This this job is a calling to help people, exactly what you said. And when I have the chance to help someone who is going through something like I went through, it's just a way to pay it forward. So many wonderful things happened to me when I was sick. I mean, my Hello Gorgeous makeover was just such a blessing, and I was nominated by a friend, and it came at a time that I needed it the most. And you never know how much you need a Kim Becker hug until you get one when you're, going through treatment and everything that comes with that. So, just so many blessings and wonderful things happen to me that when I can help someone through a difficult time, it just feels like you've come full circle. And the terrible things that you went through had a purpose. They had a meaning. There's some value to that horrible experience because now I'm able to understand what other people are going through when they're going through it.
I always say that too. God will always bring you out better than what you were before that instance. And just think of it, for years, I always say, Michael he was so grateful for that liver disease that he had. Like he would say every single day, I wouldn't be the person that I am today had I not gone through all of the things that he had to go through. And I feel like it's the same thing with you. I don't know that you would have found where you're at right now had you not gone through the treatment and the steps that you had to take to get yourself healthy on the other side from cancer.
Right. And I often joke, you would have never, ever, ever in my life found me on, monster.com or Indeed looking to be an insurance agent, right? Like looking right. for a job to be an insurance agent. And yet this is what I was meant to be doing. This job is such a blessing. I always say, if something happened to me and I were to be sick again, or I were to need treatment or something, my son became sick and I needed some time. I'm self-employed. I run my own business. I set my own schedule. And the idea that if something happened to me, I wouldn't be vulnerable to the situation I was in before, but I would be in control of when I work and how much I work and my income. I mean, it's a peace of mind for me that I didn't have before, that if something happened to me, I'm in control of my own destiny. And that's just such a blessing.
Well, and that's so true right now. I think about that too. When Mike was sick and my job, as much as we did, we do hands-on stuff, I was able to work a lot from his hospital room. And even now in the midst of COVID-19, right? I mean, we're right. not in the office, but we're still working remotely. Like it didn't devastate us like it's devastated a lot of people.
Right.
We're still able to do right. what we're doing to help people. And I think that's huge.
Right. And I was joking a little with my husband, just who would have thought that during something like this, I would be the one with, a steady income and job stability, being the entrepreneur, right? Because right. typically with entrepreneurship comes, some volatility. And right now, I mean, I'm busier than ever because currently I have a lot of people with Medicare when they're turning 65 or they're retiring. You have a lot of people who are retiring earlier than they thought they would. Different things are happening. Social Security office isn't open right now to help them through the initial part. So I'm able to help them through what Social Security would have been doing for them and getting them to the point where they're ready to, do something with their Medicare. So it's been a blessing that I can continue helping people even during this crisis.
That's right. And that's huge because, like I said, not a lot of people have been able to do that. So let's back up a little bit. So you touched on it a little bit, but so tell us about your Hello Gorgeous makeover. Where was your makeover and how did they lure you there? And just tell me about that day.
Sure. So my husband said, your friends have something planned for you today. I'm supposed to pack up your nausea meds and, have you dressed nice and, just be ready to spend the day with your friends. And we're meeting up with them. And so we drove to Elkhart and we were close to one of my friends' homes. So I thought that's where we were going. And then we stopped at Lincoln Gardens and I'd never been there. It was a gorgeous place. We're just kind of walking around. Something felt off to me.